Ooh-wee, the Clippers finally bounced back with a nail-biting win against the Houston Rockets. Paul George was back and better than ever. How did he do it? What worked well for the Clippers? And why did it end up being such a close game against a team so below the Clippers level? No offense to any Rockets fans, but we're going to be talking about that on today's Locked On Clippers.
You are Locked On Clippers, your daily Los Angeles Clippers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, sir. You are locking in with the Clips. Thank you for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. And today's episode is also brought to you by yours truly, Darian Vaziri, enjoying now a little bit of enjoyment after that W. My 18th season as a Clipper fan. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod and subscribe to my own YouTube channel known as Dime Dropper, where I will be posting a vlog of the amazing game I attended tonight, or should I say last night, since you'll be listening to this on Tuesday. The Clippers beating the Houston Rockets and breaking the 4-game losing skid 95-93. It was a lower scoring affair in today's NBA, but Paul George was the main man. We've been calling out for a big performance from him after some really bad games, and he brought it. I basically dedicated the entire last episode talking about the New Orleans Pelicans game, that Paul George has just not been good enough. And that's the first thing that needs to change if the Clippers are going to go on and win these games without Kawhi Leonard, who will be missing the upcoming road trip against Houston and San Antonio. So that is really tough to hear and causes more concern in terms of Kawhi's health, and also just the fact that the Clippers never tell anybody anything, and we as fans do not know when he will be returning and to what degree that setback was. But I'm also going to be talking about why the game was so close. How come the Clippers did not win this game comfortably? And of course, the overall positives. But there's nowhere to start, or no better place to start than the main man himself tonight, Paul George. He was unbelievable. He won the game. I don't like to use these kind of phrases in basketball and in any sport, but the last minute of the game, he basically won it single-handedly. The Clippers put themselves in a tough position yet again in this game. They were down 93-90 with about 43 seconds left in the game, and I was in attendance. It was an awesome game. Really solid Clipper crowd tonight. It was not a sellout. It was only, wow, I'm looking at the attendance right now, 78%. So that's pretty poor. Clipper fans, get to these games because that was fun. But the crowd that was there, it kind of reminded me of some of those older Clipper games I went to as a kid. Really good quality over quantity crowd tonight. Really good enthusiasm for a weekday on a Halloween night, Monday. That's probably part of why the attendance was low as well. And of course, the Houston Rockets, not necessarily a team that's going to put a bunch of butts in the seats. And of course, no Kawhi Leonard. So when Kawhi Leonard doesn't play, it's no guarantee of a sellout for the Clippers. But it felt as loud as some sellouts tonight. And Paul George hit a game-tying three, pull-up, contested to tie the game at 93, gets a steal on the next play, and then wins the game one-on-one against Eric Gordon. I got a nice video of the final shot. I thought Eric Gordon fouled him twice, but I like the officials letting them play for that last shot. That's classic NBA basketball. Swallow the whistle for that last possession. It was a one-on-one situation. Clear out, get everybody out of the way. Paul George went to work and hit a beautiful MJ, Kobe Bryant-like fade away with the leg kick. It was an amazing shot. Or should I just say a Paul George kind of shot? Because we've seen him make those kinds of shots for the Clippers time and time again. And in terms of game winners, we've seen him make more than even Kawhi Leonard has for the Clippers. And that's not surprising given that he's played more games. But this game really reminded me of that OKC game about the same time a year ago. The Clippers were 1-4 going into that game. I was also at that game. And it just felt like they were going to drop another game to a young team that shouldn't have beat them because they just played around with their food a little bit. And then Paul George just kind of took over the game and started a winning streak after winning that game. Hopefully for the Clippers, the same thing will happen this time around. Paul George showing that he was the best player on the court got the Clippers the win. I mean, I've said it time and time again, but when Paul George is the best player on the court for the Clippers, these games that Kawhi Leonard doesn't play, they have a really good chance of beating these teams they're supposed to beat. In Oklahoma City, the game he played, he was not the best player on the court. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was. Against New Orleans, CJ McCollum and Zion were better than him, and a lot of players played better than him on Sunday. But in this game, he was that dude. And I think it started out right in the first quarter. You know, he was aggressive. And people were commenting on the fact that, and trust me, looking at the game and watching it, it did look a little interesting. He had no shoulder pad, no knee brace. He ended up putting on a shooter sleeve later in the game on his left arm. But it looked funny. It looked like Paul George is not wearing anything. Doesn't mean to sound weird there. But he was aggressive. He looked quicker. He was more, as I said, aggressive in terms of getting to the basket early on in the game. And one thing I liked was Ivica Zubac, again, just in drop coverage was phenomenal. And when he was getting blocks, and he got 2 in the first quarter. And Paul George, I loved his activity in the first quarter defensively. You know, he talked about taking responsibility and leading by example and setting energy, setting a tone on both ends of the floor. Well, he did that on the defensive end in the first quarter with 2 steals. That got him in transition a little bit, and he got a couple of easy buckets. And as the first quarter went on, and I'm pretty sure Paul George played the entire first quarter, the Clippers started to create separation, and that was because of Paul George. And by the way, I want to mention that Luke Kennard started in this game instead of Terrence Mann. Pretty neutral on that change. Don't think it really did much. But Paul had 12 points in the first quarter, and again, it honestly makes me go nuts because he did the exact thing I said on so many podcasts already. What happens when Paul George catches the ball in the mid-post or the elbow? It's literally poetry in motion. He catches the ball. He caught it twice today, 3 times actually, at the end of the first quarter. First one, catches the ball, just turns and faces, rises up over the top, bucket. Gets it again, shimmy shake, fake turn left, turns over the right shoulder, bucket. I mean, it looked like he was practicing in a drill. And then the third time, draws a little goes baseline, I should say, draws a double team, finds a cutting Terrence Mann. It was just, they could not stop it. They had no answer for it, and the Clippers, when he came back in the game in the second quarter, just didn't go to it anymore. It frustrated the hell out of me. It's either the Clippers need to go to it more or Paul needs to go to it more. Because when the Rockets weren't even fighting him for post position, they were letting him catch the ball. I mean, he's going up against, honestly, it doesn't matter who he's going up against. If he's not going up against the league's best defenders, that is a strong chance of a bucket or a good look for the Clippers. And that 12 points in the first quarter really set the tone for me for his performance. He also hit 2 threes in the first quarter as well. And they weren't, open shots. Wide open. He hit one coming off a screen. He hit one in transition. And you just felt the confidence flowing through his fingertips as he released the ball. It just looked great. And the Clippers led by 7 after 1 because of it. 30-23. Paul George started the game like a star does. And then, of course, he ended the game like a star does. And a shot that may go overlooked because of how well he played in the last minute was when Jalen Green put the Rockets up by 5, I think it was 88-83, Paul George hit a huge 3 to answer back and make it a 2-point game. And that just felt really big in that moment. But Paul George did his thing in this game and was a huge reason the Clippers won. The biggest reason, of course. The answer that a star needs to have, he played 38 minutes, by the way, played the entire fourth quarter damn near. He played the last 11 minutes and 15 seconds of the game. And even though he turned the ball over 3 straight times late in the game, my goodness, I thought he was going to throw the game away. He answered back with big shots, although he needs to be careful. Against better teams, he won't get the luxury of winning the game like that when he's turned the ball over 3 times in the span of a minute. That was questionable. But I also have another reason why that I'm going to be talking about coming up. But to close out on Paul George, 15 for 26 from the field, 5 for 10 from deep, 35 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, 6 steals, and 2 blocks. Awesome to see. He was also 10 for 12 inside the foul line. When he catches the ball around the foul line area or inside, I counted 10 for 12. All his other shots, 5 for 14 beyond the foul line, dancing. And he had some nice dance moves tonight. He was shaking guys. But it's just so easy for him when he catches the ball in that area. And I just don't think the Clippers went to it enough in the fourth. And I think there's a big reason why as well. And I'm going to be talking about why the Clippers did not go to Paul George more there and how the game was so close to being blown. I'm going to be talking about that coming up. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available? That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. I got my Rams ambassador job on LinkedIn, and I haven't actually, had a business where I'm looking for people to hire. But if you are, it's really not that hard. You just got to add your job and the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. And simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's time to finish the year strong, and you can do that on LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs can help you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right. Of course, I just want to thank you again for making Locked On Clippers the first listen of your day. And for your second listen today, check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. All right. Now, talking about the second quarter. And by the way, my question for everybody today is going to be, should Reggie Jackson get his minutes severely cut? Because I'm going to be talking about him in this segment mainly. And mind you, I love Reggie Jackson. Love him. Played 30 minutes again tonight. Now, I know what some of your guys' answer is going to be. Can't cut his minutes when John Wall's still restricted. I just think that it doesn't matter at this point. He's averaging 28 minutes a game this season, and they haven't updated the stats on ESPN for his game tonight or last night, which he played 30. So let's say that number is going to be like 29 or 28.8 tonight. Basically, you can round up to 29. So basically, he's getting around 30 minutes a game. Now, Reggie Jackson hit 2 shots today, or I keep saying that, 2 shots Monday night in the first quarter. I immediately tweeted, it's really good to see that, I should say, that he made those 2 shots because hopefully now he will have a good game. Well, he's had worse games this season, let's put it that way, but he was poor. He was poor. One thing I really noticed was when the Clippers went small in this game, there were good and bad moments, but the good moments came when you didn't have many smaller guards in the lineup. You had wings out there, Amir Coffey, Terrence Mann, who got more minutes today. You even saw Brandon Boston Jr. sighting for 5 minutes, and the Clippers were -1 in his minutes, but I actually thought the look was good because they were able to switch everything and actually keep the ball in front of them. And that's the thing about the switch everything personnel. You have to be able to keep the ball in front of you. Because you've gone small, you have reduced your rim protection. So your rim protection has to be, you are preventing straight line drives to the basket, you are staying in front of your man. And when you go small and have guys like Luke Kennard and Norman Powell out there together, or Reggie Jackson and Norman Powell out there together, or Reggie Jackson and Luke Kennard out there together, it's too small. And despite the fact that the Clippers didn't get abused in the first quarter, when they go to these teams, go to these second units, there seems to be a guy on all these team second units, that one guy that likes to take advantage of size. Tonight, that person, or Monday night, that person was Kenyon Martin Jr., son of one of my favorite one-year Clippers, Kmart Sr., but man, he was giving the Clippers the business. He had 23 points on 9 for 17 shooting. He was 2 of 8 from 3. He made those in the first half, and they were really getting on my nerves. but he was a beast. I mean, obviously his athleticism, from his dad, he also has that. He can I think he can jump higher. Had a spectacular block on a Terrence Mann lob attempt, and even another amazing block. I think it was on Zoo that the Rockets challenged and won the challenge. But the Clippers' fourth quarter stretch, this really got me angry. Actually, it started in the second quarter. The Clippers had a decent run with that Amir Coffey, Norman Powell, Terrence Mann, Nico Batum, and then Paul George and Brandon Boston split the minutes. That lineup in the second quarter put the Clippers up by 10. I really liked what I saw from that small ball unit because they were switching everything and also able to stay in front of the ball, and the Rockets just didn't have the same kind of talent. I mean, they're one of the worst teams in the league. No offense to any Rockets fans listening. It's a rebuilding effort. And it doesn't really help grow the players also when Eric Gordon, who I love, former Clipper, is getting such attention in terms of the way they're drawing plays for him and the amount of shots that he's getting. Like Eric Gordon shot 11 times tonight. Kevin Porter Jr. shot 13. Jalen Green shot 17. Şengün, who was one of the better players for the Rockets tonight with 14 points and 9 rebounds, was 4 for 8. So he needed to get more shot attempts. Plus, Ivica Zubac had 5 fouls, so I'm surprised they didn't go to him more. Eric Gordon, I mean, I love the guy, and he actually had a good game, but I'm also not looking at the game from a Rockets fan perspective. And from a Rockets fan perspective, it probably feels annoying to have Eric Gordon get these big shots. And I mean, he got the last shot of the game that he missed. And by the way, again, going back to the refs, happy they didn't call a foul there because Paul George didn't get the foul call the other end. So Nico Batum gave Eric Gordon a little bump. And when he missed the shot, that was game over. But Eric Gordon, getting the last shot, I don't know if that was drawn up or just the most convenient pass at the time, but it must be kind of frustrating not see your young players get those moments if you're a Rockets fan. However, the Clippers went up 10 with the small ball unit in the second quarter, but the one I did not like was Norman and Reggie alongside Nico, Terrence, and Senior. That was kind of in the late third quarter where, again, the Clippers went up by 6. And the Rockets, when Paul George came out of the game, closed the quarter on an 11-2 run. Garuba off the bench. I hadn't even heard of the guy for the Rockets. He was the 23rd pick in last year's draft. Usman Garuba had 2 offensive rebounds in a row, both of which the Rockets scored off of. So again, rebounding an issue in that small ball lineup with that particular unit. And you know who actually did a great job gang rebounding in the small ball lineup was Luke Kennard. He had 10 rebounds tonight. Yes, Luke Kennard had 10 rebounds. I keep saying tonight. On Monday night. It's hard because I haven't gone to sleep, so recording this feels like it's the same night that I came home from the game because I just got home hours ago. But Luke Kennard, 10 rebounds, huge. Here's where the tough part comes. Reggie Jackson. So he has not been doing much good at all on either end. He is the weakest defender right now that's getting consistent minutes. He's kind of just not in the picture on screens when he's getting over them and makes Ivica Zubac do a lot of work. And he's getting blown by fairly easily and is also just a smaller guard. Now, I love Reggie Jackson. I'm going to keep saying that. But when he's not hitting shots offensively, he's hogging the ball and dancing with it too much and dilly-dallying, as I say, with the ball, which he was again doing a lot of on Monday night. It just hurts the Clippers' offense. It hurts the Clippers' starting games. He needs to come off the bench. And beyond that, Ty Lue, and I'm going to have to criticize Ty Lue here because I think he's had a very suspect start to the season as a coach, and I think he's one of the best in the business, mind you. I love Ty Lue, eternally grateful for him. Got the Clippers to the conference finals in their first year as him being a head coach for the Clips. But he treats Reggie Jackson like it's his son. He needs to be a little bit harder on him. Reggie Jackson started out the fourth quarter, and he was not playing very well. The Clippers are kind of just hanging around with the Rockets, but you just had the feeling that if he was out of the game and you replaced him with a wing, that the Clippers would blow it open, not necessarily blow it open, but create some separation where you're not competing in a nail-biter in which the Clippers played in. Reggie started the fourth quarter. He was out there with Terrence Mann, Norman Powell. Norman Powell was taken out in 45 seconds for Paul George to come back in for that last 11-15. So Paul George, Nicholas Batum, Terrence Mann, Amir Coffey, and Reggie Jackson. So one thing I liked about that is you're a little bigger. At least you have Nico, Paul George, Amir, and Terrence. But I just felt if we went all in, maybe put Norman Powell back in the game, or whenever we put Marcus Morris Sr. back in the game, that's when the sub you knew was coming, or even Luke Kennard, that Reggie would be the one that came out. That we'd ride with the wings a little bit, and if we wanted to play small ball before Zoo came in, we'd ride with that. That is not what happened. And that disappointed me. At the 7:57 mark, Luke Kennard and Marcus Morris Sr. come back into the game, and guess who is staying in? Reggie Jackson. And I remember I was really angry when this happened. I just thought that if the Clippers had gotten him out of there and kept one of Terrence or Amir in, it would have just been so much harder for the Rockets to score, and I think it would have pushed the transition game for the Clippers and just helped the ball movement. Because Reggie Jackson kind of stagnates ball movement at times with his dribbling, and Ty Lue kept Reggie out there, and the Clippers just fell apart. I mean, not fell apart, but I thought they were going to lose the game, straight up. I really thought they were going to lose the game, and it wasn't until the 4-minute and 2-second mark after the Clippers called a timeout when Kevin Porter Jr. stole a Paul George pass and dunked it that the Clippers put Norman Powell back in the game for Reggie Jackson when they were down by 4. And from that point forward, the Rockets only scored 3 more points and the Clippers scored 9. So Ty Lue needs to be harder on Reggie Jackson. He was just not great again tonight, and he's just not giving the Clippers enough defensively or anything offensively to warrant this amount of minutes. 30 minutes for him tonight, or Monday night. 2 for 11 from the field, 0 for 6 from deep. He got a lot of decent looks too. 6 points, 6 assists, only 1 turnover. So one thing I will say, taking care of the ball better lately. But man, just very frustrating. And there was one layup in transition at a crucial juncture of the game where it was just, he should have just passed it off to Paul George, fill in the lane, and didn't. But ultimately, the Clippers were still able to get away with the win, which is important. Coming up, I'm going to be talking about some other positives for the Clippers and what momentum they can carry into the next game. All right, so let's just talk about other individual performances for the Clippers in this one. I thought the one thing that kind of hurt the Clips were the scoring droughts. You know, the Clippers went up by 10 in the second quarter and could have extended the lead and kind of put this Rockets team away, but they went on a drought, and Norman Powell had 2 really good looks at an open 3. I don't remember if it was Marcus Morris or Reggie Jackson that also got a good look at a 3 at that time, but the Clippers were getting good looks, and one thing I will really say about the Clippers in this game, they generated a lot better open 3s, you know, and that comes from Paul George being aggressive. That comes from Norman Powell being more aggressive. Even Reggie Jackson, who I was very harsh on in the last segment, had a couple of moments where he drove and penetrated and dished out to open guys for 3s. I thought the Clippers got a lot of good looks from 3. They just weren't hitting their shots, and that was keeping the Rockets in the game. And those scoring droughts were the reason the Rockets were in the game. I mean, 93 points is a great number to keep out Team 2 in today's NBA defensively, but you're only scoring 95 points. You're getting all these good looks. You're at home. You're the much better team. That's the disappointing part for the Clippers because they didn't put them away, and it took Paul George heroics to get the win. 9 for 36 from deep for the Clippers, only 25%. Marcus Morris Sr., who was 4 for 7 from 2, amazing job getting within the foul line and turning around and hitting those turnarounds on guys, especially smaller defenders. He was good at that, but he wasn't hitting his 3s. Although I do like Marcus Morris Sr.'s defensive energy and lateral ability to start the season. He just looks much more spry. From the first game, from the preseason, he's looked much healthier. 5 for 14 from the field for Mook. 1 for 7 from deep. 11 points, but I still think he played decently. He was plus 7 in his minutes. Not to say that means he had a great game, but I thought he played well. And Ivica Zubac, just straight up, I think he's been the best player on the Clippers this season. He had another really solid game. Almost fouled out. 16 points, 12 rebounds, 4 blocks on 6 of 8 shooting. His stats so far this season are 9.7 points per game, so let's just round that up to 10. 11.9 rebounds per game, so let's just round that up to 12. 10 and 12, and 2.9 blocks per game. Let's just round that up to 3. So 10, 12, and 3 blocks on 61% shooting. He's played every single game for the Clippers. He's the best screen setter on the Clippers. He's the only true center getting minutes, and he's shooting 61% from the field. He has been unreal, and I've been saying it for years. If he gets 30-plus minutes, that's a double-double machine. Ivica Zubac has been unreal. I thought Nico Batum, even though he was 1 for 3 and missed both his threes, and only had 2 points, there were a lot of things he did that didn't go in the stat sheet. I thought his help defense was really good and well-timed, and in the moments where the small ball was actually doing well, it was because his rim protection was pretty good. He had 2 blocks. And even though Terrence Mann and Amir Coffey's stat lines won't look too great, Terrence Mann, 2 for 4, 4 points. Amir Coffey, 3 points, 0 for 1. I thought they give us a different look. They get to push the pace, and we go from defense to offense faster with those two. They're good in transition. I want to see them play more and have Reggie's minutes taken away a bit in the next game. And I think the next game at Houston is going to be tough. It's going to be tougher than this. Clippers need to be ready. Got to knock down open shots, but I think the process was a lot better. Hopefully the Clippers will have John Wall in that one and maybe Robert Covington, 2 guys who have played for the Houston Rockets. So the great sign is the Clippers got the win, and Paul George hopefully is back. And if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DimeDropperPod. I'm going to be posting the vlog of this game tomorrow morning or Tuesday morning, so you can check that out, what it was like inside the stadium. Amazing atmosphere in this one. Clippers win at 95-93. You know the age-old proverb, go Clippers. Don't forget to subscribe to Locked On Clippers as well.